Okay, we got 40 minutes on this one. So I'm gonna be kind of fast, I guess, because I actually like this kind of environment because most people go and spam hate comments on someone else's algorithm, or they go and scroll TikTok um, to drown the emotions. I either write on it or write on it on a video. So basically, it's kind of nice. No matter what happens in my life, I've always had this obsession with documentation because, sure, you can call it trauma, you can call it whatever you can call it, but mm, the reason is not important. The feeling is important. I've always felt like every single word I say matters, and let's say it's not overcompensation for something or something, but um, based on the signals I'm getting around me, it apparently does. And in this stage of my life, I'm kind of thinking about, mm, yeah, about that being true or not. And actually doesn't matter because these kind of things uh, happen in a kind of a time perspective, change in time. Like when I look at 10 years ago, when I was like 16 or 17, um, I don't think I ever even imagined this kind of life that I am having, the good and the bad of it. Because for me, getting out of Iran was always an impossible dream, but always gonna happen kind of thing at the same time. Now the same thing is happening with money, power, and financial freedom by 30. At the same time, it feels impossible, and in the same breath, it feels inevitable. And I actually don't know which one is it gonna be because that's how it is. But even this, I'm still documenting, at least. So in my mind, these documentations are serving the purpose of building the track record. You don't build a track record to be unknown and unseen for your entire life. You build a track record of this kind of thing when the inevitability weighs more than the lack of inevitability. And the funny thing about this is that at this stage of my life, I'm being introduced to people who are 30 to 40 years ahead of me in everything, money, fame, and whatever, by people who are themselves on global scale kind of known and whatever. But because the financial or any kind of objective measurement of outside world is not changing, all of these people could disappear, and I would have a shock of no path forward. But at the same breath, I have this idea of but these people are attracted to me, not the other way around. So if these people were to leave, I would still find more of them because the magnet doesn't lose its attraction based on the quality of metal around it. And even like thinking about thinking, this kind of analogy that comes very easy to me is not accessible to think of it on the fly for most people. And there's this kind of self fascination that comes with it. And let's say I lose all of the bestsellers and their attention because I'm unstable or I'm too much or whatever. All of the bestsellers gone. What about the lawyers? I know about 3 to 4 lawyers who are on global scale. And let's say I lose all of them as well. The next stop, policymakers, 3 or 4 of them as well. One of them is literally the director general of another country. Let's say I lose that as well. I recently posted a framework of me called Cryside about digital suppression, and some random guy from ICC, and as the 5th crime of the ICC, that's how I think, I guess. I made that in like 20 minutes of fictional writing that I'm doing these days. And the thing is that I made that in 20 minutes, posted it, and someone from ICC background and UN literally commented, sent his email, and said that I sent this to him. I did, and he said, okay, I'm gonna look at this more in depth, and I'm gonna co-supervise this. This is one of the most weirdest signals. This guy wasn't even on my connection list. And that post had like 300 impressions, 0 engagement, and the only person who could actually move it just showed up and showed interest without no hesitation. It's just weird. And let's say I lose that as well. But the framework exists. In 5 years, 10 years, that digital suppression is gonna become the new way of actual governance, with the AI war going on, with all of that. That is still with the timestamp on my LinkedIn and in my words, even in these videos that I'm name dropping them. So my question is that I think a lot about life and what it means to be in a place or on a place with this level of differentiating densities of being, because at least in this kind of day and age of my life, I'm thinking about the density of being and presence, because there's a reason that Hitler has a name and has some emotions associated with it when you think of him. Same with Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, Van Gogh, whoever the fuck. But these people were not the only people who lived. They made something that outlasted them. So that contributes to their density of being or identity, let's say. And now that I'm thinking about this kind of identity crisis, maybe I'm gonna make it the title of the video. I'm thinking about everyone is moving towards kind of a dilemma between individualization and social values, because on one hand, the construction of the society is towards cooperation and collaboration. So you need to have some kind of getting along with other people with resources. The world is unfortunately super connected, and who knows who determines if you actually eat today or not. And on that regard, this kind of implies social identity based on common values, common beliefs, common soil, common memories, and common experiences. But on the other hand, because at least AI and this kind of new way of being without borders, both mental and actually like physical borders of faster communication, faster transportation, and all of this is kind of making the world feel smaller than it is. But at the same time, with the pressure of so many beings and so many faces that you see, you are aware of the number of people existing beyond your surrounding area. And this is the kind of a conundrum that leads to these spikes of identity, let's say, that on one hand, people want to be associated with a socially approved value, but on the other hand, they want to stand out as special and individuals with more kind of density, let's say, in the same crowd. But these two are not compatible. For instance, I've been thinking a long time for this about these values that people say, okay, I'm Iranian, or I'm this, so I need to fight for my country, and I need to fight for my family, I need to fight for this value, for humanity, for goodness, whatever. And at least in this kind of stretch of my life, when I'm thinking about it, is that, okay, people who are saying they're Iranians, they don't know anything about the history of Iran. And if they did, that history doesn't determine their identity. They have literally been fed and have been breathing the same air of, let's say, these 47 years of this regime that has nothing to do with Iran. So unless you have hidden 2,000 years old of resurrecting in the same kind of body and as the same soul in the same soil, you're actually not Iranian. You're just someone who occupied this specific soil and this specific portion of the earth in the kind of occupation of this, let's say, Islamic regime, which is not even Islam, not even democracy, not even republic. This is just like some, what do I call this regime of like 47 years of Iran? I think the best way to actually put it is this, a failure of masquerading as a kind of masochist, because there's nothing in it that I actually respect. Objectively, they have no religion. They are literally making one or two kind of ways of easily ripping off people through name of God, and actually they're not doing the dictatorship part right, because it's literally embarrassing to the history of the world that the Osmanis or the other Islamist kind of run country had 500 years of power. They're not getting to even 50 years. Fuck it, even 48 years. And this is very embarrassing, because religious run kingdoms or countries have at least 5 or 6 generations to them, at the very least, because you're literally scaring people from divinity, which is the most kind of dangerous source of meaning making that people have outsourced their identity to. They're not even facing you, they're facing their gods that you're representing on earth. So how the fuck you fuck up both economically and politically and everythingly, even militarily, and have nothing for it? That's objectively. Now subjectively, I would respect someone creating and making their own religion and running a country with that more, because it adds something to the human consciousness and actual thought novelty that I respect. But if you're literally masquerading as a very cheap copy of Islam that you don't even invent yourself, you just add something to it which is kind of cheap replica of the original to begin with, and you don't even do it systematically coherent to actually run a country for 100 years, it's just like beyond me to what to actually name this. And now when I'm thinking about like all of this resurfacing kind of ideology that we're children of Cyrus the Great or whatever, sure, it's good to take pride in something, but this is my kind of thought that why would you associate yourself with 2,500 years ago someone called, let's say, Kurosh or Cyrus the Great? If you have the same blood in your vein, you should yourself by default be significant person on your own rather than association. And there's a kind of delicacy here that when all of these like people compare me to Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, Rumi, Hafiz, all of these, it's at the same time an insult and appraisal to me, because the praise part is the accuracy of lineage, an identity lineage, let's say. But the insult part is that if I agree, and the part of me that agrees with that shows that they are, in comparison to me, bigger than me. And because they're bigger than me, I should be glad being associated with these people. But that's not actually how life works, at least in my view, that every generation has to surpass the other, because I'm not going to the theology aspect of it, but at least the way I see it is that 8 billion people on this planet, which at the same time has abundance of resources for all of the 8 billion, but not enough for even one of them. And it just, how I think about it is that the only purpose of that is that not only there is gonna be the assertion of a hierarchy, the hierarchy of resources and identity, but also there gonna be this kind of thirst for progress and contributing to human consciousness, not as a value system, but because when you literally throw 3 balls in a room and they're all jumping up and down and whatever, the trajectory of these balls is gonna differ, and this is gonna make it interesting for you to stay in the room. The surprise factor. Let's say you literally throw a ball, there are like 3 balls, blue, yellow, and red, and all of them follow the same pattern. After 5 minutes, you're gonna get bored because there is no kind of novelty of movement in the balls. And soon enough, you don't even care about the balls moving and jumping around the house. That's the kind of I don't know what they call it in psychology, but this is like the dopamine reevaluation, that you can put a person into every kind of miserable situation and they're gonna find solace in it after a while, because the familiarity itself soothes the pain. And how it works for me is that you're putting 8 billion people inside a room, and if everything is gonna be okay, 2 or 3 religions, 2 or 3 methods of sovereignty, 2 or 3 methods of whatever, it's gonna be boring. Life as a concept is gonna be super boring, because there's no novelty of thought. And it just, we're moving towards a situation that, because the control and the predictability makes governance easier, every model of governance is moving towards this kind of categorization of people. You have these TikTok people, you have this Instagram people. Imagine if every kind of platform was a country of its own. Soon it might be. It might be, because the kind of borders are dissolving so bad that we can have country of Instagram with its own core values, and then the country of let's say Facebook, then the country of Telegram, the country of fucking LinkedIn, and everyone is literally being managed inside of this. And this is why I don't actually like liberalist capitalism, because it's very hackable. You literally find a way to get the most amount of attention with the methods that has worked. I recently talked to a therapist that we are a very close friend due to like some mutual interest in a couple of books, and she has like 300,000 followers over Instagram. And I was curious, how did this happen? She said, I just took a course of Instagram. Someone taught me how to present myself in front of a video, how to capture people's attention, my vocabulary, the themes I was talking about, the structure of it, the storytelling of it, and all of that. And I started making videos in my interest, which is a relationship therapy. And because it's a very kind of niche, but also oversaturated kind of even a sub niche of behavioral psychology, people liked it. And because of the simplicity, it had a wider reach. And because of the familiarity of the format that I was taught, it went from the first month 1K to 2K followers, then 8K, then suddenly one of them went viral and got me 20K followers, 100, then now eventually like 300K. And this is the thing that I don't accept, because if I'm gonna, maybe this is the kind of stubbornness in me that is gonna actually bury me and make me be broke genius, which I'm actually fighting, and I'm preventing with all I can to not let it happen. And I don't think it's gonna happen, but we're gonna see. Time is a funny thing. But the thing that made me quite surprised is that I actually tried that. And because of the mental toll of the simplicity, and not even simplicity, the stubbornness of me playing by someone else's rules, although successful, I didn't continue that at all, because I can literally hop on a call and yap all I want. But if I'm supposed to yap one sentence in someone else's original kind of framework, my totality of identity actually repels that. There needs to be a reason to that. I said could be trauma, could be overcompensation, could be whatever in 50 years, 100, 200 years, people gonna call it. But the truth of the matter is that I can do that. I cannot do that. That's the gist of it. And now with all of this kind of identity anchoring that is happening on geopolitical sphere as well as kind of individual aspect of things, I am, at least in this kind of a stage of my life, I don't actually believe in anything because, yes, I'm Iranian and I'm paying for this international belittlement of my country. Why would I say I'm the child of Cyrus the Great? I don't know who the fuck Cyrus the Great is, no matter how much I read on him. No matter when I was 8 years old, I was plowing through the Shahnameh, the Ferdowsi, and all of the literary stuff, the Greek mythology, Nordic mythology, all of that. I'm not them. The only way I see that you literally contribute to human consciousness and actually don't let it stall is that the way I think. I say, okay, Sartre says this, Nietzsche says this, Dostoevsky says this, whoever the fuck says this, and I see it as Tetris and say, okay, this is a nice piece of Tetris. How do I build it my own? How do I build something of my own using that? Because of course that brings me social credit of being so smart, who knows fucking Foucault, but at the same time, I need the social credit of that idea's validity supporting my own idea, so I'm not literally walking on air and building a religion of my own and then kind of devoting myself to it. And what is happening is that the way I'm thinking these days, I'm seeing that I'm not actually respecting anyone, but fortunately or unfortunately, how it sounds, it's as not only paying homage, but also the epitome of respect, because instead of quoting someone, I'm building upon their framework. What's more kind of way of being respectful than evolving something that has been built instead of using it? Using it is just stealing. It's just insult to the identity of the person who literally spent their life cultivating that idea. But for me, is that, okay, they prepared the foundation, I'm gonna build on it. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be happy on it because not only they're gonna be foundational and the basis of something bigger or something new, but also their work is not gonna be static. At least from all of these people, bestsellers, philosopher, whatever, that I know, and they're saying, okay, your lineage goes back to Dostoevsky, Nietzsche, whatever. At least if we accept this premise, at least this reflects that I know them better than someone who is not from that lineage, give or take. And in this kind of identity lineage, closer to them than closer to the other people, I could say that I'm pretty sure they would prefer novelty of thought over repetition. Because if they were the repetition and finding what works within the system and doing it, they would actually do that themselves. Why did they I'm pretty sure they didn't have any idea and any choice of doing it differently, because yeah, Kafka, fuck Kafka, but um, Tesla. Tesla didn't know he's gonna die broke and now be the kind of the symbol of the richest man alive. The irony doesn't go deeper than that. And but he had to, because his identity or whatever in him was to just build, to just be fascinated by new ideas and novelty of thought. I bet he couldn't even have lived the Edison life or the other kind of industrialized life within the system, because his essence was rejecting the system to begin with. Same thing with Nietzsche, same thing with everyone. And without association, same thing that objectively and subjectively seen by myself and other people around me. Same thing with me. It's literally agonizing to me to read in a script, write in a script, read it, and stick to that script. Because even now, when I'm talking, this is way of actually excavating my own mind and finding what's there. Making this video, I wanted to make another kind of concept of video about whatever, but now, like filling the video up, the freedom that this gives me to say fuck this, fuck that, or to say okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, I like this, I adore that. This freedom of not actual expression, but the freedom of excavation, that I get to dig within my own mind and be sure that this video in 500 years, whatever, is gonna be seen, or this kind of thought is gonna be existing in the world and contributing to the evolution of human cognition, is enough for me. Even the worst case scenario, I post this video, let's say, I post this video, and in my lifetime, this video is gonna stay, all of my writing, all of my writing is already being read by a couple of people. But let's say the worst case scenario, I write, I think in novel kind of frameworks, all of that. Worst case scenario, all of that is gonna be buried. At least I'm gonna die believing post-mortem this is gonna be discovered. And even if not discovered, the work is there. The novelty of thought is there. Sure, it pisses me off to not get rewarded for it, not get the kind of the actual superiority and scarcity of value that this represents. It is basically like producing diamonds per day, but everyone either looking at it doesn't say, okay, this is diamond, because they're not experts, and they don't even see it as a shiny stone. They just say, oh, this I haven't seen before, but I'm gonna stay silent and say nothing. The worst case scenario is gonna be that the world is gonna have more diamonds every single fucking day that I walk on it than not. And when I die, let's say, when I die, these diamonds are gonna, someone is gonna either find it and is gonna say, okay, this pile of diamonds is this kind of valuable, and how stupid of people not to have seen this, because there was no expert to say, okay, these are diamonds. And then the name would be associated with it. Then people would come to these videos and look up every kind of meticulous form of and shape of these diamonds or whatever. It doesn't matter, because the objective fact is that there is diamond in the world, and if I'm being appreciated for creating these diamonds, good, I get more resources to actually create more with more pace and with more depth. But if not, I'm already producing anyways. And even if I die today, or if I go numb today, and which is impossible, and produce nothing tomorrow, the next day, the next year, I've already produced enough for 50 years. And this is just the way I see life, because on one hand, life is a hollow concept. You wake up, you eat, you shit, you die. There is no sense to it. And all of this copium bullshit of enjoy the moment goes back to the dopamine evaluation of human being, because enjoy the moment or enjoy this, enjoy that, all of it, the enjoyment part, that kind of enjoyment that these people talk about, is about the dopamine saturation. But the true enjoyment comes from creation and comes from contribution. And contribution not to that I'm Iranian, Iranians should be this, or I'm a writer, writers should be this. No. Contribution to density of being of people around you, inspiring someone 50 years, 500 years apart from you, understanding and seeing this kind of piece of diamond and seeing themselves in the reflection, and being inspired to produce their own kind of shape of diamonds as well. That's why I'm obsessed with reading these people. I don't read Nietzsche. I don't need to understand Nietzsche. I don't read Foucault. I don't read any of these fuckers. Because these people are gonna dilute my own thinking, and if I read them, it's gonna be contributing to my own frameworks and building upon them. So I don't consciously chase reading these people for the superiority of status and say, thus spoke Zarathustra in a kind of gathering, so people think I'm smart. But I read all of these people's lives. How did Nietzsche live? How did fucking piece of shit Kafka live? All of these. Because their life and the way they lived their life tells me what they, aside their work and aside whatever, they believed in, and what amount of control they had in their own lives, and what kind of density of being they represented. And this density of being is sometimes inspiring to me, that, oh, he had this, that, and third, and still said that. Like Wittgenstein is quite an interesting. My guy had solved everything about philosophy of life by 30. Then 5 to 10 years later, he literally said I was wrong and wrote a work 2 times the size of the first work, denying himself. This guy is a very fascinating being, because this guy is fighting himself, or the same thing with Schopenhauer. This motherfucker had no kind of financial worries in his entirety of life and wanted only fame. And he didn't get famous, so he got so bitter and pissed off that his pissed off philosophy made him famous. This is, you don't get more peak irony than this. So, or Camus. Camus didn't want to die an absurd death, and he literally died in a fucking car accident. It's just like, these are the fascinating things about like living. Not waking up, eating, building someone else's empire and dying because you enjoyed your vacations and you enjoyed capping on dopamine. But we're gonna see what's gonna happen in the next 5 to 10 years, and how I'm gonna either think back about these kind of stages of my life, or maybe I die tomorrow and someone else is gonna do it for me.